Peach, say hi. All right, go on, get out of here. Hey guys, so today I'm gonna open up the Logic session where I recorded my cover of Cool by Dua Lipa. So this opening riff is basically just the synth riff that plays in the beginning of the original song. As soon as I heard the song, I couldn't wait to learn it on guitar. It turned out really cool. Yeah, and then I put together a little, I found this analog string patch in Serum, and I tweaked it a little bit, but not too much. I wanted it to sound kind of analog like the original song does, and I doubled the riff. It sounds cool. It has a little more of the original vibe to the song. Yeah, and the first repetition is just guitar. I also added this little rim sample here that I found on Splice. It's super simple, but it complements the rim sample here that I'm using for my actual drums, which I'll show you. I'm using Invasion. Get Good Drums, shout out. Sounds awesome. So I put those two samples together and it sounds really good. You probably wouldn't even notice that there was an extra rem sample going along if I didn't show you, but it works out. So actually this first kick that you hear in the song is not Invasion. Nothing here, just hi-hat. Because Invasion sounded a little too metally. I wanted something a little softer, less clicky. And I think that did the trick. It was just another sample I found on Slice. Another sample I found on Slice. It's a subscription-based pizza sample library where it's all samples of pizza. Slice. Check it out. Slice. Anyway. So here. This pre-chorus part I think is really cool because it comes down with this. If you're listening on headphones or good monitors, you'll hear that. I think it sounds really cool. I like this wavy type of sub bass that you hear a lot in pop and hip hop, and I kind of tried to recreate that. The way you make that is you add a few voices. Here I have 3 voices doing doing those notes right there at the same time, and then I detune them a little bit. So there, not detuned at all. Whoops, I had 2 oscillators going. But then when you detune them a little bit, it sounds really cool and wide and kind of flowy, and I don't know, it sounds really cool. So yeah, that is the bass part there. I kept the little synth part going. I kept the guitar part going, but I made a couple lo-fi tracks. Just doing the same riff, copied and pasted, whatever. And then here I have some chugs going on. Which they don't really jump out at you, but it's actually, it's a little hint towards the second pre-chorus, which we'll get to. The second pre-chorus is basically doing a breakdown kind of rhythm riff, and that's the same rhythm from that riff. Oh, another cool thing, I actually did I made another vocal track here, and I pulled this section down onto this track and then threw some little altar boy on it. I also pulled down the highs a little bit. Actually, not a little bit. That's quite a bit. But I wanted to hear this lower octave in there, so I made it. And the color of the sky looking nice and nice, you know, you know, you know. So buried real deep in there, you can hear the octave below the main melody. And I'll turn the mix all the way up so you can hear just the octave below. Which that alone sounds ridiculous, but mixed in sounds really cool. And the color of the sky looking nice and nice, you know, you know, you know. And you hear that effect in pop all the time. You hear it all over the place. I can't think of any examples right now, but yeah, you hear it all the time. So here, going into the first hook part, I have 5 samples here, swelling up, and then 2 like sub drop samples hitting all within 2 bars. It's the first time these main rhythm guitars are coming in, and I wanted it to be kind of epic and like punch you in the face. Oh, you know, you got me losing all my cool, 'cause I'm burning. So this sub smash sample here hits on the downbeat, and then this other sub drop sample hits on the 2 when the snare hits. So it's like, and I've actually used this sample on like floor toms and stuff before, and it sounds really cool, but this time it's a little higher in the mix, so it acts as a bass drop. So like I said, this is the first time we're hearing these main rhythm guitars. I actually already have a full video out explaining how I write riffs around chord progressions, but I would like to explain my thought process a little bit on how I wrote this riff. So the backbone of the riff is this groove right here. And over these 2 bars, the bass notes are E flat, F, and D flat. The flat 7, 1, and flat 6 in the key of F minor. Since I'm not playing any chords in this riff, the notes I choose to play in these spaces of the groove are super important to imply the harmony. For example, let's look at this single quarter note. How I decided to fill in this space here was with a 16th note run of these 4 notes, which to the tonic F are the root, the 7th, the 3rd, and the 2nd, which effectively imply an F minor 9 chord. All right, we're back in Logic. So along with that riff, I have these 2 lead guitars, pretty buried in the mix, but I just wanted something in the background to kind of bring it all together. And again, down here we have all these samples from before, just arranged a little differently. I've got the reverse vocal. I don't think I explained what they were earlier, so I'm going to do that now. This one is just it's got a little riser on the front, but then it's just a sub drop sample basically. Kind of like an impact thing. And then I have another sub drop sample here. And then a little vocal riser. This is one that I actually made from the vocal stem. It is this first note. I just chopped it off and drowned it in reverb. And then I took the decay and reversed it. And then we got this cool vocal swell. Yeah, and I've got a reverse cymbal here. Super simple. I think I made that with some Superior Drummer 2 samples. not sure. I made it a long time ago, and it's just the same sample I use every time. And then right there is a short riser sample that I found on Splice. Yeah, I think this is a super cool riff too. I won't break it down, but yeah, it's a fun riff right there. Uses all 8 strings, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. Yeah, that little run there is really fun. All right, so this second verse is very similar to the first verse. It is the same guitar part, same synth part, but I've got a drum part and a bass part doing some grooving, and then these 2 clean guitar parts behind it. Nice and warm sounding. I think I ever noticed how warm those are. They're not very bright, which I think I like that. I think I would prefer that. It gives it a little more body. I love just listening to the bass and the drums. So those 2 bells you hear there are kind of an homage to Incubus. There's the song "Wish You Were Here," and I think the second verse of that song, the drummer hits these bells on the 1 and the of 1, just like I do here, and I just thought it was pretty cool, so I threw it in. That little lo-fi guitar part there is like one of my favorite moments of the whole song. I just think it sounds really cool, and it's like such a cool moment before this riff hits, because it's the first time in the song I go halftime with the drums. I just think it's a really cool moment. Rainbow wheel, dude. How'd you like that voice crack? I loved it. So that riff is accompanied by a cool little tremolo picked lead part. This kind of like contortionist language-esque part that's super drowned in reverb and delay, and I think it's a cool texture to have in that type of part. So this part is exactly the same as before. Yeah, I don't think I changed anything at all, but over here, I have that cool lead part, which it's a little bit different than the opening riff. It's kind of, I kind of played it in a way that makes it more of a lead instead of like a standalone riff. And of course I had to throw in a couple squeals because that's just how I do it. I don't think I showed these before. These are just some octave strummies to kind of open up the riff a little more. It's nothing exciting. I am using the notes from this though. So that's what I'm doing on those. I'm just strumming it through the whole thing. Ooh, here's a cool little vocal thing I did. So I cut out these oohs down here because they were a little bit loud and kind of inconsistent through this this vocal stem here. When you're trying to find these vocal stems for pop covers like this, it's kind of hard sometimes. This is actually one of the better ones. I've gotten ones like my Post Malone cover where the hi-hats are totally coming through. It worked because it kind of sounded like part of my cover, but it's not ideal. I would have rather put those in myself than have them come in through the vocal track because it makes mixing it a little harder. But this is one of the highest quality ones I think I've found. The Cardi B one again was awful. that one's probably the worst one. Just quality wise. At the time I couldn't find anything better. But this one is really good. There were just some inconsistencies in some stuff. So doing stuff like this can really make your vocal mix a little more consistent throughout the whole song. So I think these oohs were actually the same throughout the whole track, but I copied and pasted this particular one to replace the rest of them because this was the best one. It was the highest quality. It sounded the best. And I mixed it a little different. I think I put that octave effect on this one as well. Yeah. You got me. So you can hear some drums coming through a little bit. It doesn't bother me too much. It's not a huge deal. You can't really hear it in the context of the whole mix. But yeah, it just made the vocal mix a little too inconsistent. So I chopped them up, I pulled them down, and I mixed them a little different, and it sounds really cool. Here we get to the tasty bridge section. I hit up my buddy Ben to do a solo here, and he absolutely killed it. If you dig his solo, I'll put a link in the description to some of his other stuff. You should definitely check him out. So here in this bridge, I have these clean guitars. With this little dotted eighth note delay trick going on. It's kind of lifting shadows off a dream kind of effect. And I thought it sounded really cool for this section. It's the same. It's like yet another rendition of that opening synth part. Oh man, that lick right there is so good. Again, I mixed these vocals a little different. I put these on my little lo-fi vocal track, which still has that octave thing on it. Which was a little risky because this part has harmonies on it. So putting an octave effect on there was a little risky, but it doesn't sound bad. Again, I've got these synths going. And then we get over here, and I've got a rim sample, which is the same rim sample from before, but I mixed it a little different. I got rid of all the highs. Holy sh! Look at that. Look at that. It's all gone. And then I threw some reverb on it, right on the channel strip. I don't care. And it sounds like that, but paired with this little snap sample. Again, the same kick sample as before. Which, thinking back now, when I mixed this, I should have hip hopped it up a little bit by side chaining the synths and maybe these clean guitars to the kick here and make the whole mix bounce a little bit, but missed opportunity. And right over here is where I had Ben like really start his solo, where he can stop doing these little like textural parts behind the vocal. There's no vocal stepping on him. This isn't in the original, but I opened it up a little bit for him to play a little bit more, and I threw these little vocal, I just chopped these from other parts of the song and affected it a little bit. Again, love that octave trick. Little altar boy. Sound toys. Sound toys all day. He almost plays the lick there. This close. So this riff here is basically the same as before, the one I broke down earlier, but I opened up a couple of the notes. So like this low F that I hit, I let that ring out just to open up the riff a little bit, because the drums go halftime here, and it's the last repetition of the chorus, so you got to make it a little more epic. All right, so here at bar 76, I do this little like diatonic chord progression, just climbing up, just to get us down to this last repetition of the chorus, where I totally open it up. I'm playing chords. It's huge and open. I come back in with this lead from before. And it just like, I think it was the best way to close out the song. Here I don't know what this is, but it doesn't look important. So right here, I think is the only time the O track does something different. Yeah, it's just a little different, but it was something in the original that added to the last chorus, and I didn't want to lose that. It doesn't sound great, but in the context of the whole mix, I mean, it's not too noticeable, and it's a nice addition to the last chorus. And again, I do that little climb up. And then for the outro, I just took these clean guitars that I had before and threw them over here with this sub bass, a little kick pattern, these vocal samples that I grabbed earlier. And that closes out the song perfectly, I think. And that's it. Alright guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.